LeadHERship Global is such an incredible community. It is empowering. We as women need to support other women. We need to lift each other up. You know, we spend our lives on these things and we scroll, and the trolls and the negativity can spiral us out of control. It can add to our stress. It can add to our thinking less of ourselves, when what we need is a gorgeous, beautiful, supportive community, a community that lifts us up, that inspires us to be the best humans we can be, and to do good for the world while we're doing good for ourselves. So thank you for letting me be part of this incredible LeadHERship Global event, Linda. Really appreciate it. All right, so stress. Who's stressing out there? I mean, we can do, you guys, if like, I'm looking at all you, by the way. I see you. Those of you who have cameras on, awesome. I love it. I'd like to be able to see you. If you can't, I get it too. Like, there are days I'm like, please don't make me turn my camera on. There's this new thing called Clubhouse that I'm on now that's all audio. And at first I was like, please, not another social media thing, not another thing on my plate to have to do. At the same time, I'm kind of slightly obsessed with it because you can just listen. I'm chopping up vegetables for dinner, and I have on, you know, a podcast, well, not a podcast, a room about wellness or about, you know, building your brand or whatever it is. And so it's a neat thing. Anyway, thank you guys for turning on your cameras, but I also understand if you want to listen, that's also beautiful. Whatever serves your purpose the best today, I support that. So hello again. I am thrilled to be here. As a breast cancer survivor, as a thriver, as a mom of two, you know, TV hosting and entertainment news and celebrity interviews was my jam for a very long time. I was the kid born and bred in Minnesota. And I was the kid who at 12 said to my parents, can I have an agent? Can you give me an agent? Let's find an agent. And they helped me to do that, but it was me pushing them to do that. And I started doing commercials and industrial films, and whatever movie came to town, I would audition for. So I always had this sort of focus on being in Hollywood. But thankfully, even when I did move to Hollywood 20 some odd years ago, I've always held on to my Minnesota roots. It is so important to me to be able to work in this business without being Hollywood. But I love the work that I did, and I worked very hard for it. So it's been so interesting at now 47 to have had this pivot in my life and in my career towards health and wellness. And so I'll give you guys a little bit of background with my health and wellness journey, because I think it's a really important story to share in terms of uplifting other women and making sure that we as women, and as the jugglers of, whether it's, if you're married with children, single with children, no children, fur babies, which I've got one who might hopefully not bark in a few minutes. We have to juggle a lot. That's just our nature. So how do we do that without being stressed? How do we do that with reducing stress? To say without stress is almost impossible, but how do we deal with the stress when it comes? So first of all, let me tell you about empowering you as your own healthcare advocate. When I was about to turn 40, I thought, I know when you turn 40, you're supposed to get that mammogram thing. So I'm really fit and healthy. I might as well set a baseline so we know what to look for, God forbid, if something happens in the future. My dad died of colon cancer at age 50. At 40 or just before 40, I got this mammogram. The results came back clear, just what I expected. Bing, bang, boom, looking great. And then 11 days later, I was changing after a workout and I felt a lump. And I thought it was really strange. I just had a clear mammogram. But you know what? I called my OBGYN. I said, hey, this thing just popped up, clear mammogram. She said, come in, let's check it out. She did, quick clinical exam, said it's nothing. This is what 40 looks like. It's probably glandular, sent me on my way. A month later, lump was still there. Maybe I should get a second opinion. Again, never thought it was cancer for any moment. So I went to see my internist. He did the same thing, quick clinical exam, sent me on my way, said, if you're worried about it, we'll keep an eye on it. Well, 4 months later, that pesky lump was still there. And there was this nagging, this inner voice that just kept saying to me, check it out. Make sure it's really nothing if you're going to live with this lump for the rest of your life. And thankfully, I finally listened to that inner voice. And sometimes, ladies, sometimes we just have to get quiet. We have to get quiet enough to listen to that inner voice. And so I went to see a surgical oncologist, again, never thinking that it was cancer, but I wanted to go to someone who looked at breasts every day as their job. My husband said he'd be happy to have that job. I said, no, no, honey, you're in finance. Stay in your lane, babe, stay in your lane. So, okay. So here I am. I'm in a surgical oncologist's office. We do two ultrasounds, a needle biopsy. And she said, I don't think it's cancer, but let's do the needle biopsy. The results came back, said good news, bad news. It's not cancer, but I don't know what it is. Let's take it out. Okay. Never had surgery before, but this is what 40 looks like. So, hey, welcome to 40. So I took out the lump and again, woke up from that lumpectomy. And she said, it's not cancer. So a week later, when I went to get the final pathology results, I told my husband to stay home. Big mistake. Because as I sat there by myself in the surgeon's office, I found out that not only was it ductal carcinoma in situ, which is breast cancer that's contained within the duct and doesn't know how to get out, but it was also invasive, which meant some of it did get out. So 2014, age 40, was a doozy. 3 surgeries, a double mastectomy, reconstruction surgery, and then the initial lumpectomy. 3 recoveries of not just my body, but my soul, my energy. I am a positive Polly, always glass half full. And this cancer thing struck it down. And I finally sat there after a few weeks of just feeling an anxiety and a stress that I had never felt in my life. I said, I can't feel like this. I have no idea how long this journey is going to be. This road of cancer could be long. My girls are 3 and 6. I lost my dad to cancer. I am not going away. And I can't feel like this. So what can I do? And I dug really deeply and I decided when my dad is always watching over me. And I think he through him, my husband said, babe, when life gives you lemons, you got to make lemonade. And I took that and I said, you know what? You're right. I need to look at everything that comes at me next in this cancer journey with a positive spin. I need to find that lemonade, that silver lining. And so I did. With each blow that came, with each next bit of information, it went to a lymph node. Okay, what do I do now? I thought about my gratitudes. I developed a toolbox to deal with my stress and with my anxiety that has served me incredibly well, whether it's when an earthquake has shook my house in LA or when COVID hit. I now have an incredible toolbox that I'm going to share with all of you so that you have incredible takeaway today to be able to implement some of these into your own lives. So that whether you're frustrated and stressed sitting in traffic, or your kid's not listening to you and we feel the stress build up, or if the God forbid happens and there is a health diagnosis, how do you deal with it in the most positive way? So I want to take you through a little bit of that. First of all, we need to reduce the toxin of stress, right? Stress is this thing that floods cortisol throughout our body, and cortisol leads to inflammation. And what does inflammation lead to? Well, it is indeed the precursor to many chronic diseases. So we need to reduce stress in all areas of our lives. And so here are a few of my key strategies that I want to share with you that I feel will be impactful for you. And it takes practice, just like meditation takes practice or yoga takes practice or whatever. New habits take practice. We have to practice every day so that it becomes habit, that it becomes a part of our arsenal. And I want to lift you up to be able to do that. So number 1, control what you can control. And this is a big one for me. You can control your efforts, your actions, and your emotions to a certain point. But your efforts and your actions can be controlled. So how does that work? All right, well, here I was with a cancer diagnosis. Great. So what do I do now? How do I control what I can control? Well, I can't control that I have cancer because the diagnosis has already come. I'm now doing everything I can to control it doesn't come back, reducing the toxins in, on, and around my body. That's what my book, Your Healthiest Healthy is about. That's what my community, which is a membership-based community called Your Healthiest Healthy Community, is about, helping people to reduce the toxins in, on, and around their body from the foods that they're eating to the products they're putting on their body, right? Our skin is our biggest organ. What's in your makeup bag? Do you realize what might be lurking there? And we'll try to get to that if we have time today as well. What about relationships, toxic relationships, increasing that cortisol in your life? Sometimes people who we have to interact with are toxic. So what do we do to mitigate that? And how do we also reduce the toxic people in our lives that maybe we can cut out, that we didn't realize we could have the grace to do? So control what you control. I couldn't control the cancer diagnosis, but I could control a few things. My mindset. What's positive in this place? So I implemented positive self-talk, which is another huge help when it comes to reducing your stress. Positive self-talk. Well, I am in otherwise great shape and great health, despite this cancer thing. That's going to help me. It's going to help me recover faster after surgery. It's going to help reduce complications during surgery. These are great things. All right, Samantha, good positive self-talk. Keep going. What else is positive? Well, I have great health care. I have an incredible support squad of my family and people who are going to lift me up and be there for me to help bring me food and help get me in and out of bed and do all the things that I need to get better, to get back to my strongest self. Positive self-talk. We even are sharing this with our daughter, who's 13 now, our oldest, because there's some stuff going on. And we said, you know what? We feel like it might be part of the mindset. What's going on? Let's develop a mantra. Let's work on positive self-talk. Here's what I want you to say out loud to yourself. I want you to come up with certain things you can say in the mirror. It's not just about thinking it, which is important, but it's about saying it. I say sometimes, fake it till you make it. Even if you don't believe it right now, say it anyway. Say it in the mirror. Say it with conviction. Stand tall, stand proud, shoulders out, chest puffed, head up. Exude that positive body stance and say it. Say it until you believe it. And it will be. Whether it comes to the stress in your life and reducing it, or it becomes, in order to get to a certain place with where you want to be in your business, say it. Say it proudly. So positive self-talk. When it comes to the pandemic, in terms of controlling what you can control, well, I can't control there's a pandemic. That I'm in LA where the cases are insane. But I can control that I put a face mask on when I go out. I can control the people I'm choosing to interact with outside of my home, in my yard, distanced, and that those are the people who aren't necessarily being risky, employing risky behavior. I can make sure that I'm connecting socially through ways that I can do that, whether it's, again, distance outside or through Zoom or FaceTimes with friends, to keep my mental health in a positive place. So control what you can control, positive self-talk. Those are just two of the top tips for reducing stress and taking control of yourself. My other favorite tool, worry when you have to worry. Okay, so I don't know about you ladies, but I am, for my entire life, the top number one worrier. I like to worry. I don't now, but I liked to worry because I was a planner. So I felt like if I worried about all the possibilities, all the different machinations that could happen for any one scenario, and I could figure out how I would deal with each scenario, then I was in control. But what it was doing to me is it was creating more stress because I was constantly in a state of worry, panic, anxiety. So what could I do? Well, I can worry when I have to worry, because you know what? If that lump that I found ended up truly being nothing, why was I spending weeks or months worrying about it? Causing stress, potentially leading to chronic inflammation that was going to lead to other chronic diseases. So when you worry about something, only when you have to worry about it, you're allowed to let go of things that are looming way in the future that, guess what, may never even happen. They may never even materialize. And here you've wasted all this time, all this energy, all this emotion on worrying about something that never even happened. So instead, because guess what? If it ends up happening, you'll have plenty of time to worry then. I liken it to yoga. When you go to yoga, and for those of you who take it, you'll understand this. For those of you who don't, go with me for a second. When you walk into a yoga room and you get on the mat, the yoga instructor will often say, stay on the mat. And I like this phrase as it applies to the rest of life. Stay on the mat, be present, be focused, stay in the moment. That laundry list of things I need to do when I get home, I've got to cook dinner, what's on my shopping list, all these other things pop into my head when I'm in yoga, when I first walk in there. And then I start to breathe and I start to focus, and all of that drifts away, because guess what? It's going to be there when the class is done. So at least allow myself the time to be on the mat. I encourage you, ladies, to be on the mat in life, whatever that means for you. It's a tremendous help. So control what you can control. Positive self-talk. Worry when you have to worry. And then also focus on small moments daily. Okay, so what do I mean in this? Write down. Journaling is an incredibly powerful tool to have. Whether it's a notepad you have next to your bed, or maybe an app on your phone. Although I really prefer the act of writing. There's this brain-hand connection that comes into play with that. But whatever works for you, as long as it's working, is great. And when we can write down 3 small moments from the day that were good, gratitudes. They can be tiny. They could be that you were on a walk and you saw a little baby in a stroller, a toddler who waved at you or gave a giggle that made you feel light inside. It could be cuddling with your fur baby and getting that pleasure of just having someone who cuddles with you. I might be projecting here. Someone who cuddles with you without shoving you away, as my kids start to do as they get older. That's why I got a dog. I was like, ooh, someone who I can cuddle all the time. So really focusing on those 3 small moments. Another top tool for reducing stress: breathe right, breathe slowly, and breathe often. This is very undervalued, okay? We think we're breathing. I mean, obviously we're breathing, right? It's an automatic thing. But what's incredible is that we have these two systems in our body: the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. So sympathetic is the fight or flight, right? We are ready to go. And this is a place that in today's society, we are always in a constant state of the sympathetic nervous system being active. And it's not supposed to be. See, the parasympathetic nervous system is that rest, reset, digest. And it's where the calm comes. And this goes way back to our ancestors. And I'm not going to give you a total science lesson here, but I find it quite interesting that, back in the day when our predecessors had to hunt and gather and be out there foraging 10 hours a day for food, that maybe they would have that split moment where they could go in for the kill to get their sustenance for not just themselves, but their whole tribe. Then they would rest and reset for all the rest of the day. And they would be active. 10 hours of foraging for food, right? You're constantly moving your body, which out in nature, 2 huge things that reduce stress: nature and movement. So what happens now in today's society, right? We can order on DoorDash or any, Amazon Fresh, whatever it is. We've got delivery, we've got food like that. So we don't have to forage. We don't have to have our fight or flight for any of it. Unfortunately, we do anyway, because we are in a constant state of stressed motion, whether it's being on a device, on a computer, constantly engaging, dealing with traffic, commuting. Not a lot of commuting these days, but with the pandemic, but you get the point. So we have to actually take time to activate our parasympathetic nervous system, because when we do that and we are in a more often state of parasympathetic action, or rest as it really would be, our bodies are able to calm down. The cortisol levels are able to dim to where they need to be. We need to have that cortisol, but only for split moments. Not all day. Our cortisol is not meant to be on fire all day long, every single day. So what can we do? Breathe right, breathe slowly, breathe often. The most magical thing is that these 2 systems can never be in action at the same time. They can't be active at the same time. When the sympathetic nervous system is heightened, this one goes to rest and just sit there lying in wait. But when the parasympathetic nervous system is activated, the sympathetic nervous system goes into its kind of hibernation. So what we can do is activate the parasympathetic nervous system by, and I hope I'm not getting too sciencey, but I think it's such an important illustration to be able to know that we are in control of our systems inside so we can slow ourselves down and reduce that stress. Deep belly breathing, that diaphragmatic breathing. So I want you all to put your hands on your belly. Put your hands on your belly for just a second, okay? With no judgments, by the way. Put your hand on your belly, and I want you to just deeply breathe with just your belly. As you inhale, your belly is filling. Picture it filling like a balloon, and it's filling and it's filling without your chest raising, just your belly filling and filling and filling. When you get to the top, as much as you've breathed in, I want you to hold it for just a beat or two of silence and peace. And then I want that belly to exhale and the hand to go down and feel your hand pressing your belly so that the exhalation is really, really bringing that belly back to it's kind of sucking it in a sense. And then do it again. And keep doing it as I'm talking for a minute. Because what's amazing about this diaphragmatic breathing is that not only does it activate your parasympathetic nervous system, but it is allowing you to calm from the stress of the day. And the best part about it, you can do it in a place where you're making the noise. And that is really helpful. If you're in any of those yoga studios with all the like seasoned yogis and they have that deep, that Ujjayi breath, right? It's that Darth Vader breath with the lips sealed through the nose, exhaling, and it's really loud, but it also can be silent and you can do it on a Zoom call. You can do it in your car. You can do it in the middle of a meeting in a room full of people. And guess what? No one's going to know but you. And you're taking control and you're activating your own systems to benefit you instead of harm you. I want to jump to the moment. And by the way, keep breathing through the whole thing if you want. I love it. I want to jump to a second to, and I know we're coming up on 30 minutes, Linda, so I want to make sure we keep time to just go like this when you want me to I could talk forever, ladies. I'm just telling you. I love hanging out. So I want to just shift for a second though about movement, because as I mentioned with our ancestors, right? They're foraging all day, 10 hours a day, they were active. We've now become such a sedentary society with a SAD diet, standard American diet. So the problem with that combination is that we, as you all well know, we are the nation with the highest rates of obesity. Obesity is a precursor for so many chronic diseases. We're talking about cancer, type 2 diabetes, which is completely avoidable, heart disease, still the #1 killer of women, and many autoimmune disorders. So we have to take control of our health. It should be our #1 priority, but oftentimes what ends up happening, I'm like, well, gosh, I'm being pulled in 20 directions. I run the house, I run the job, I run the kids, I'm running. Self-care? That's totally selfish. That's taking time for me. I can't take time for myself. Let me tell you, not only should you, but you need to. And self-care is selfless. Because let me tell you, if you're not able to take care of yourself, you're not going to be here to take care of those who need you. I'm not saying, although it sounds nice, I'm not saying you need to go on a spa vacation for 4 weeks with your buddies. Can we do that? Can we maybe hook that up, Linda? You think we got that? Because that sounds like, I would even do 4 days. I would be very happy. But, whether it's an hour to work out or a nice warm bath at the end of the day, or foam rolling, or laying on yoga balls before you go to bed, or calling up a friend who you haven't talked to for a while to connect and have that mental health connection. These are all different areas of self-care. There are so many. Actually, in my Your Healthiest Healthy community, I share a whole list of ways to self-care. And for each person, it's different, right? We're all bio-individuals when it comes to how we eat, to how we work out, to how we rest and reset. We need self-care. We need to find what works for us. And sometimes it takes trying different things till we figure out what works. And you might be on your Instagram feed and like, wow, I want to do exactly what she's doing. But sometimes exactly what she's doing isn't what's right for you. And so you need to take that with a grain of salt and say, okay, well, I might try that, but if that doesn't work, I'm going to try something else. So movement is really essential because I talk about, I get a little morbid here, but I talk about something called growth versus decay. So when we are active and we're moving our bodies, our cells are growing, they're reproducing. And of course, as we age, we have a lot of cell die off. So the more we're moving our bodies, the more they're still growing. The more sedentary we are, the more our cells are decaying, literally decaying. The cell growth isn't happening. So when we look to the future and we look to our, God willing, our 80s and our 90s, do you want to be the one who's confined to the wheelchair, who has to be fed and dressed, who maybe doesn't have the mental health, the dementia set in, the Alzheimer's? Or do you want to be that 80-some-year-old who is out there power walking? We have this guy that my girls call, I don't know why, they dubbed him Old Man Bobby. I don't know why. Every day, 7:30 a.m., without fail, there, and he's got to be somewhere in his mid to late 80s. Old Man Bobby is chugging along. I mean, he is fast. That is my goal. Old Man Bobby is my idol, because I want to be Old Man Bobby. I want to be old woman Bobette. I want to be out there. But if we don't move our bodies start to forget about us and we lose it. So not only does it help us live longer, but it also helps reduce stress, especially when we can be out in nature and combine it with that. I could go on forever. We could go into nutrition. We could go into how to make sure that you are, taking the best care of yourself in many facets, getting rid of the toxins in your makeup bag and in your period routine. If you're still going through the menstruation, fun. Got mine today. Anyway, TMI. So 100% organic cotton pads and tampons or a menstrual cup. I'll just say that and leave it at that. Linda, I want to make sure I don't keep talking over what we need. Did you want me to keep going?
I tell you, you've already given us so much to think about. I am so grateful for all your actionable insight. These are all tips that we can take home with us right now and put into action. I'm so grateful. So do we have any questions?
Hi, Linda. It's Sue Nunez. Can you hear me?
I sure can, Sue.
Perfect.
Hi, Sue.
Hi, as you know, as Linda knows, I actually am going through a very similar cancer journey, although I'm not quite as far along as you have. My reconstruction is coming up. I'm going to get there. I know I'm going to get there.
You will.
I find myself doing a lot of sampling right now. I've just started that estrogen blocker, right? So we know all about the side effects, and I've done, I've tried acupuncture, I've tried exercise therapy, I've tried the healing touch, the healing massage, all the things to kind of help me get through it. And I find that I'm losing motivation a little bit. I haven't found that quite right thing. Can you talk about, maybe keeping motivated? What are some tools we could put in our kit for that?
Absolutely. And Sue, thank you, first of all, for sharing and being open to share that with us. And, I never like hearing that even one more woman has a diagnosis. So I'm sorry that you had to go through this tough road, and getting to the other side is so sweet and fabulous. And I know that you're going to get there. So stay strong with that. I too am on an estrogen blocker and have been for 6.5 years now, and they want me on for 10. So, in terms of the side effects, and I too went through a lot of that, right? I mean, the night sweats where, I'm just wringing out the shirts at night. And so I tried the acupuncture and I tried, different techniques. On the one hand, it is great to sort of, like you said, sample, see what works for you, because sometimes the acupuncture I tried, maybe I just went to a bad practitioner, but either way, it didn't seem to work for me. But I also know it has worked for some people with some of the side effects. I was on a 13-mile bike ride this morning, and I noticed my wrists are really getting achy a lot because bone pain and joint issues can be part of it. And I just, a big part is the positive mindset. It's that constant reminding yourself that you're going to live a long, healthy life. There are going to be some annoyances that might come along with it, but you're going to get through it. And this too shall pass. And if it doesn't, you learn to deal with it. So for me, I still get the night sweats. They're cyclical depending on my cycle. And I have learned, it's interesting because I thought, how am I ever going to be able to sleep through the night, and how will I do? And a lot of it is the mindset, right? So positivity and resiliency is the key to a thriver's mindset. And so how do you build a positive mindset? We are actually able to retrain our brain. So there's something that is called, I call it the negativity spiral, right? It's, once you get sucked into that vortex, it's like, oh, swish right down the toilet, right? And so what we need to do is throw a wrench into the anxiety engine or the frustrations of this negativity spiral. And if we can just slow down and recognize our anxiety, we can oftentimes stop that negativity spiral before it begins. And so when it comes to some of these side effects and issues, a lot of times it's that mind over matter. So finding the mantra. My mantra, when I first was diagnosed, and I thought I need to switch this around, I came up with one that was, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm cancer free. And I did that one for a while. And then all of a sudden one day it dawned on me that I keep reminding myself I had cancer by saying I'm cancer free. This is not actually working out. So my mantra since then for now many years is I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm fit, I'm strong. And even on days when I'm not feeling it, I say it, and I say it loud and proud. And that makes a difference. So sometimes when you're having some of the side effects, it might be a matter of being mindful, being present, going into nature, going for that walk, that positive self-talk, but also acknowledging the feeling. I don't want you to push it deep down and far away. It's just acknowledge that it's happening. If you're having the negative self-talk, even acknowledge the negative self-talk is there, and then shift the mindset, right? Focus on the good things, large and small. Sometimes we have to find the humor in it, which can really help. Also, when we ask ourselves, what have we learned from the experience? That can really, really help. I hope that helps you a little bit.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Well, one of the things that I want to ask about, Samantha, not to take over the Q&A, but you talked about a gratitude practice, and you talked about how every single day you try to find 3 things to be grateful for, and you legitimately, literally write it down. And I know I've been doing that for years, where I every single day write down 3 things I'm grateful for. And for me, it began to change my mindset. It began to forced me to actually look for the 3 things I was going to write down that day. And so instead of looking at some of the things that ordinarily would have been stressors for me, or disappointments or anxieties or frustrations, I began looking for the things I was going to add to my journal that night. And I started looking, actually seeking out in my day the 3 things that were my points of gratitude. But how do you begin a practice like that for a lot of people who aren't journal people who, don't ordinarily journal or don't ordinarily write? What's a way that they can get into a practice of gratitude, even if they are not someone who ordinarily journals?
Well, I think that everybody who journals now was at one point someone who doesn't ordinarily journal. So I think hopefully just even having that in your head is a great starting point. So when it comes to any of the changes, whether it comes to, we're dealing with learning how to journal, or learning how to overhaul your nutrition, or clean out your beauty bag, all of it can be really overwhelming, right? We're like, how do I do this overnight? I want to start right now. I want to be the best person who journals. I want to be the cleanest eater. I want to get all my makeup toxins out and switch it all. And to try to put that on yourself, to do that and pull a 180, it's not sustainable. So with your Healthiest Healthy community, everything is about small, manageable steps. And that's what I want to share with you all today. Small, manageable steps. Almost, and this is going to sound weird, especially because I know you are all go-getters. This is LeadHERship Global, right? We're all go-getters, and we think it's like, go, go, go. The bar has to be set way up here. I've got to strive. I've got to do. I want to challenge you to set the bar low. This is a very crazy idea. I know, what's that Samantha saying? But I want you to set the bar low, and this is why. Let's say when it comes to journaling, you're like, how am I supposed to journal every single day and write things down and make that a habit? Start with writing down one thing once a week. Set the bar low. Because when you start to do it, one small gratitude written down once a week, It's the same idea of, I don't feel like moving my body today. I can't get on my spin bike. I don't want another app on my phone to work out with. You know what? Say, I'm going to go outside if it's warm enough, or I'm going to get on the treadmill, or I'm going to walk around my house for 5 minutes. That's all I have to do. 5 minutes, set the bar low. And guess what ends up happening? You're already walking. It's already 5 minutes in. You get that pace going. You're like, you know what? I could probably do another 3 minutes or another 5. Same thing with the journaling. Maybe one day you write down one thing, but you're like, wait, I had something really great happen. I want to write that down today. And then you can start to level up the bar, right? You want to level up. And so same thing when it comes to nutrition, right? So I am all about a plant-based whole foods foundation, no matter what your dietary theory is. If it's vegan, if it's paleo, if it's keto, whatever, a plant-based whole foods foundation is, no matter all the gurus who get on their soapbox and say, this is the one way you have to eat to make sure your life is the best. No, but they will agree that the foundation should be mostly plant-based and whole foods. And then you can deviate to whatever it is, right? So if it's like, all right, well, I want to start a plant-based whole foods diet, but I grew up in Minnesota. I was eating every part of the cow on a daily basis, let me tell you. So getting to this is huge for me. But I've gotten there, but I didn't do it overnight. I started with one plant-based meal a week. I started to have a different perspective when I would open up my fridge and go, okay, what am I going to eat for lunch today? And I think, okay, how can I get more veggies into my diet? And so the shift really came with this, and this is one of the biggest pieces I have of nutritional advice for living your healthiest healthy lives, ladies, is to fill your plate half full with veggies at every meal. And when we do that, we are all, for the most part, not getting enough fiber. The average woman gets about 12 to 15 grams a day of fiber. The USDA recommends closer to 20 to 25. Actually, they actually say about 20. Mayo Clinic says 20 to 25. And really, when we dive deeper into the studies, we as women need 30 to 35 grams of fiber minimum per day. So when we start to eat more veggies and we eat lots of berries and we start to infuse that in our lives and we think about it at every meal, how can I get more veggies into this meal? How can I get more berries into my day without overdoing that? Because then people think the sugar and the berries and anyway, again, so many things we could talk about. But these are the things, small steps. Just start with one meal. Just start with one part of one meal and level up. Set the bar low.
I love that.
I have a question, Samantha.
Hi, bossy girl. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a fun thing to do. I do have a question for you, though.
Yeah.
So I was wondering for you personally, I think that each one of us oftentimes know what we should do and might make some really good choices and can set the bar low and meet them fairly well. But I was wondering for you personally, what is your toughest challenge for the goals that you've set for yourself, the ones that kind of sometimes slip away, and what do you do about that?
That's a great question. So I think that the toughest, I'm very consistent with my workouts. I think the toughest goals, actually meditation has always, since cancer, I thought I'm going to be that 30-minute a day meditator. Yeah, I'm nowhere near that. So for me, fitting in micro meditations, again, setting that bar really low has helped, where I might find myself buzzing, running around, and I sit down to get on the next Zoom or the next whatever, and I just stop myself. And that is, because that's a big challenge, just to make sure that I'm getting that time in for meditation. I allow myself, even if it's 30 seconds to 2 minutes, to just sit, focus on my breathing, tune into the sounds around me. So I would say that's one of the biggest ones. I don't like dessert. That might be another one.
What dessert do you recommend if you love dessert and you still want to stick with your goals?
So the dessert I recommend if you don't want to stick with your goals is if you guys have Cold Stone Creamery, you choose what ice cream you want, and then you pick your fillings, and then they mash it all together. So that's a really big treat for us when we do that. But dark chocolate. So what I say is you don't have to sacrifice something sweet. You can actually do something still good for you that satisfies the sweet tooth craving. So as long as, and here's the thing, we have so many, the packages will tout, the marketing hype. Oh my gosh, that's a whole other thing I go into, right? So whether it's organic or paraben free or whatever it is, depending on its food or products. And we think, oh, okay, this is healthy for me because the marketing gurus wrote it on the outside front cover. No, we have to empower ourselves as consumers to read the labels and understand what we're choosing. And if we choose to still have it, whether it's on our body as makeup or lotions or it's food that we want to consume, at least we're choosing. We're not being told. So with dark chocolate, you want to really aim for a minimum of 70% cacao. So cacao, hey, I have a trivia for everybody. All right, put it in the chat if you know the answer to this one. What is the difference? It's almost like a limerick. What is the difference between cocoa, C-O-C-O-A, and cacao, C-A-C-A-O? Does anybody know the difference between cocoa and cacao? If I give you anything, this will be your new thing that you can go to people with. All right. So cocoa is heated to the point where all of the great antioxidants and other powerful things that the cocoa bean can give us, which are actually beneficial. My kids are like, see, I'm eating dark chocolate, mommy, it's healthy. I'm like, yeah, you're doing a good job, just not like the whole bar. But whereas cacao is cold processed and it retains all of the wonderful benefits. So you're looking for 70% or higher cacao. And then when you break off a little piece, and my other recommendation is to let it slowly melt in your mouth. Then your mouth is, you're salivate and then getting, your digestion process is happening, and your brain, the neurons are saying, oh, yeah, I get this. This is total. And I will have 2 squares. Sometimes I'll have more, but I'll have 2 squares and I am totally satiated.
All right, we have a question from the crowd too, and we only have about 8 minutes left. So I'm going to ask you to try to answer this in about 3 or 4 minutes so that we can wrap up. But the question for the crowd is how to manage stress around social media, doing it, looking perfect, taking our best photo, all those pictures on Instagram where everyone looks glamorous and fabulous. And I can't deal. I am never on Instagram. How do you begin to manage the stress, the pressure, and the anxiety around social media?
Well, first of all, it is real. It is real. And anyone who looks at my Instagram, which is at Samantha Harris TV, you'll see a nice combination of the real and the glammed. And here's the thing. I have to tell you that the moment that I started allowing if you had asked me 10 or 15, and I promise to keep this to 2 or 3 minutes. If you had asked me 10 or 15 years ago, whenever I finally started social media, would you ever go on without any makeup on? Would you ever go on social media without any filters the moment you woke up? I would say, heck no, are you kidding? I have this persona. I have to be looking a certain way. When I put this like makeup and hair on, my little one says, oh, you're Samantha Harris today. I was like, because So she started out really little, like when she was 3. I was like, yeah, that's creepy. So here's the thing. It was the most freeing thing in the entire world to just be me, be who I am. And I love it now. I'm not afraid of it, but it is a time suck. So here's what can happen. You follow people who make you feel less than. You follow people who make you feel you're not doing enough. You aren't enough. Guess what? Unfollow. Right now, today, that is something I want to task you with when you leave here. Unfollow all of those. Social media should be lifted, like we started this whole Leadership Global day. The social media should be lifting you up. Women supporting women, educating, inspiring. Those are the accounts that are beneficial and actually have scientifically proven to have benefits. But all that other stuff drags you down. If it makes you feel bad or less than for even one post that you're reading, unfollow the heck out of that person right now. Facebook, unfriend them. Instagram, unfollow them. That's all I have to say.
That is such good advice, Samantha. Thank you. And thank you for talking with us today about reaching your healthiest healthy by helping to eliminate stress. I'm just so grateful for your time, Samantha. And I think that, I've had the pleasure and privilege of being friends with Samantha for quite a while. And now you see why. She is just a dynamo. She is a wealth of insight and an incredible source of inspiration. But she's also a certified health coach, a best-selling author, an Emmy-winning entertainment journalist, and a TV host. And she has offered to work with LeadHERship Global on a weekend retreat. So look for that in the upcoming months, where Samantha will be working with us to host the LeadHERship Global members in a weekend retreat all about health, brought to you by Samantha Harris. And I would also note that, you know, I see many, many LeadHERship Global members as part of this discussion. And I'm so glad that all of you are here, but we also have a few guests. And I would say that if you're interested in learning more about this impactful community of extraordinary women around the world that are dedicated to unleashing their full potential as high-performing and growth-oriented leaders in a confidential, supportive, and private community, please reach out. We'd love to welcome you. We are dedicated to accelerating the success of every single woman by helping define their vision, grow their leadership, expand their influence, and leave a lasting legacy. We have phenomenal programming like you've just experienced with Samantha Harris, and we invite you to be a part of our community and be a part of this extraordinary leadership that you've seen demonstrated by Samantha here. Again, Samantha, so grateful for you. So grateful for the incredible way that you have turned around what must have been a devastating experience through the journey of breast cancer into such an uplifting, enlightened, and supportive practice that you're sharing with all of us now. And we are so grateful. So thank you.
Thank you. No, it's been wonderful being with everybody today, and where LeadHERship Global is doing so many wonderful things for their community. And I encourage you to, if you're not already part of that community, definitely seek out more information to become a part of it. And for those of you who want more healthful information to live your healthiest life, to eat better, sleep more, energize, and so much more than that, Your Healthiest Healthy community. And I put the link to yourhealthiesthealthy.com in the chat. So you guys can just click on, or I don't know if you can click on it or copy paste, but yourhealthiesthealthy.com has all the information. The community is incredibly accessible. I do live weekly coaching on a different health topic every week. We're really interactive. I'm responding to questions. It's a very personalized and confidential private program as well. Live weekly coaching, live health coaching, live weekly workouts with me. We do everything for all levels, from kickboxing to bar to yoga to HIIT classes. And then I also bring in a live guest every week. It might be an expert like an oncologist, or I have a vegan chef to the stars coming up soon, or celebrities like Cameron Matheson was on last week. If you guys probably know him from All My Children and Dancing with the Stars, and tons of, he's my former co-host on Entertainment Tonight, but lots of celebrity guests as well. So it has an incredible support system too. So yourhealthiesthealthy.com if you guys want to learn more.
Oh, and do not miss getting a copy of Samantha's book, which I have a copy, and it's amazing. Your Healthiest Healthy. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll talk soon. Samantha, thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.